Well, hello again, day 8. I'm still managing to keep these daily so far, touch wood, because my computer is showing its age now, so I'm hoping I can still keep these up without having to replace it anyway. Yesterday's video did have a short follow-up afterwards, because while it was rendering, I was suddenly hit by the depression again, and that made me think a little bit more about it, made me want to make a few more points. So I know I have mentioned depression before in these videos, but I want to expand a little on what I've already said and make a few extra points. One of the first things I do want to point out is that depression isn't what some people think of as it's always there. It's not. A lot of the time, you can, if you suffer from depression, you can actually feel all right. There are times, as I say, I experience them, where it will be constant, but that isn't always the case. You can be fine, and then all of a sudden, either something will happen or something won't, and suddenly you feel that crushing inside you, that void, that loneliness, the sadness, the despair, whatever it does to affect you entirely without warning. But some of the main points I want to raise today are in fact not about the ailment itself, but about the people around it. And I don't just mean the sufferers, because with mental illness, it's not just the sufferer who is affected. It's their family, their friends, acquaintances, random people in the street, customers, anyone they meet can be affected by it. Because I imagine, if you think about it, you know someone with depression. If you don't suffer from it yourself, you know someone who does. And I'll be the first to admit that when it does get me, I can be an annoying bastard. I can be down, I'll not want to do anything, and while on the face of it, people will be, oh no, it's okay, we can support you, we're with you through this. It feels like they're only going through the motions because that's what they think they're expected to do. I don't know if that is actually the case, it's almost certainly not, but that is how it feels. So myself, if I ever have made you feel unappreciated for your offers of help, I apologise. But sometimes we do get down there, we can't keep a brave face on it, and that is when we start to believe that you are just going through the motions, you don't actually care. But please don't give up on us. On the flip side though, caring about someone with a mental illness like depression, it's not an easy task. I'll be the first to admit that I unintentionally can put a lot of burden on people with the way I get sometimes. That leads us to the flip side of it. Because if you think about some of the most prominent figures, for example, celebrities who have suffered from mental illness like depression or anxiety, what's one of the first things that you think about them? It's their happy, chipper, bubbly personality. Robin Williams, for example, an incredibly tragic case of depression, among other things, and he was one of the most joy-bringing people around. He made it his job to make everyone laugh, and the reason he did that is because he knew what it felt like not to be happy. He knew what it felt like to be that low, so he made it his job to make sure no one else felt that way, and that is how a lot of us act. We put a brave face on so that people don't feel that way. It's not just so that people don't know that we are depressed and we're sad. It's so that they don't feel the same. We hide our pain with humour. Yes, that is true for many people. But we're not the only ones hiding from it. We're hiding everyone else from it as well. Me personally, well, I wouldn't say that some of my funniest moments come when I'm feeling rotten, but I do try to keep my sense of humour up at those times. It's not always possible. Sometimes when I do go below even that and the brave face falls off, that's when who I really am underneath comes out. And if any of you have ever seen that, I apologise, because it's not a pretty sight. And there was a hint of that in the update video yesterday. I debated so long with myself about actually posting that, because that was a hint of insight into my vulnerability, and that's something that I want to hide, as I say, for myself, for my family, for my friends, for everyone who cares about me. I don't like being seen that way, not just for me, but because I don't like knowing that people are worrying about me. In the end though, this month, this Mental Health Awareness Month, is about openness and showing that vulnerability to raise awareness of it. One thing that has started to play on my mind a bit though is that, is this going to be just another case of it's here for this month, let's pay attention to it, right, month's over, that's it, nobody care anymore. Because mental health doesn't stop when people aren't paying attention to it. Mental illnesses aren't something that gets swept under the rug, at least not for very long, because one way or another it does show itself and it can have tragic consequences. For anyone who knows someone with a mental illness, whether it's a family member or a friend or a vague distant acquaintance you meet every now and then, one of the best things you can do is to not worry about us. Or no, if I can rephrase that, to not worry for us, because we have our own worries and everything going on, and we do pick up on it if you start stressing about our well-being and worrying on our behalf, and that just makes us feel that we're failing as friends and family members because we're putting our burden onto you then. I know that a lot of people say that it's okay, we can take that burden for you, or they say you're not burdening us, but we feel that way even if we're not, and that exacerbates the situation. The best thing you can do for someone with depression or anxiety or any mental illness is be yourself. Sometimes you may need to step a little lighter about us, but there's no need to be walking on eggshells all the time, because a lot of that time, that special treatment of walking on eggshells or being worried about us or trying to make everything perfect for us at your own cost, that makes us worse. While we may occasionally try and push our friends away when we are at the lowest points, we need our friends. We do need people around us, so you don't really need to be any more than that for us. One of the worst things that you can do, aside from worrying for us, worrying on our behalf, is to try and be a rock when you're not ready to be one. We don't really need people to offer themselves as rocks. We pick our own rocks. Subconsciously, we look around and find the people that give us strength just by being them. So if you are being that friend who doesn't change yourself around us whenever we get depressed, who still calls us a dick when we're a dick, who doesn't invite us out just because you think we need someone to be with, well, you're gonna be our rock just by being that, and you don't need to change yourself and make yourself any more vulnerable to do so. Well, I think I've rambled enough again for today. I'll get down to editing this so that hopefully I can have it done before, 3 weeks from now with my poor little old computer going the way it is. If I've left anything out, I will add it into another video next time, and I will see you guys all tomorrow.